Hello everybody, it's me on the backup microphone, so I'll sound a little bit different. I'll sound different again in the upcoming interview. I just want to open this one up just with a little bit of clarification about what I was going into with this, because I personally noticed after being linked a video about a current controversy, let's say, that's going on with Catalyst Game Labs and a lot of the community sort of around this situation that has gotten quite heated, and I decided rather than speaking to people on things like Reddit and Twitter and other locations like that, places that I don't normally frequent anyway, I thought I'd just go directly to the source and get their opinion on it. So I reached out to Catalyst and I was put in contact with Rem Alternis, who I conduct the interview with here. And mainly I just ask what Catalyst's side of the argument is, because I'm aware that there's a feeling here that Catalyst are trying to control the conversation, as people are saying, trying to take over all forms of social media officially surrounding Battletech, whether it be Facebook or Reddit or places like Twitter, that kind of thing. And so rather than throwing in my 2 cents and just pulling for a bunch of opinions here, there, and everywhere, I'm going to present the Catalyst side of the story and what it is that they say, and basically just get their opinion on a couple of things. So this will cover a little bit of the Reddit drama that went on the previous year, back in June, I believe, not long after the Pride issues that came up with the Pride fanzines and bits and pieces like that. And I as much as possible, just letting Rem talk and explain it, and then just sort of coming up with other things. And yeah, so I'll just let this interview play out, and then I'll follow up afterwards with a little bit of a sort of closing sort of monologue discussion, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, I'm pretty bad at this, sorry.
Yeah, so the community guidelines came up, and I was out of the loop about what was going on. Someone links a video, and it talks about a lot of very strong subjects with regards to the community demo team, and how there seems to be a perceived takeover of it by members of Catalyst, and now some people have been kicked out because they may have had certain extreme views or that kind of thing. But I guess the first question is, what prompted the update for the community guidelines, if that's possible to go into detail about, please?
Sure. So the community guidelines and the demo team are two totally different things. So the demo team the demo team is its own organization.
Yeah.
And they have their lead is a part-time person for Catalyst.
Okay.
And that position up through now has reported directly to Lauren, who is our CEO. And then I've been over doing my thing in marketing and community. And so the community guidelines came about after. Are you familiar with what happened on Reddit back in June?
I did hear about some of the stuff on Reddit. The subreddit was taken over by Catalyst rather than it being run by fans.
Not true.
Okay, okay. No, that's fine. That's fine. That's what I was asking. Yeah.
Let's go back to that, because I think that kind of answers some of the questions currently. So here's my perspective on what happened. I was actually moving the weekend that all happened, so I was away from keyboard. But some members of the community on Reddit reached out to me because there was a whole thing about an unofficial fan Pride anthology.
Yes, this is the fan magazine that came out, wasn't it? It's not official canon, any of those kind of things. It's just stories that were written.
It's a fanzine.
Yeah.
So the argument came out because apparently the moderators that were on and the rules, I don't use Reddit, so all of this is a little fuzzy for me. But apparently the rules that the moderators were using or interpreting said anything political, blah, blah, blah. So anyone that was painting minis in any sort of rainbow color, even people who weren't LGBT, whatever, if they happened to use a flag, like a certain flag's colors, those miniatures were getting removed by the mods.
Okay.
And like there was some kerfuffle about that over time, but like moderator's choice. So it, like the arguments kind of died rather quickly. But with the Pride zine, Reddit got louder about it because one of the creators or contributors had reached out to me at the time, and I was just starting to stand up the Catalyst socials, and they were like, hey, would you mind posting about this? And I was like, sure, whatever.
Okay.
So I posted about it, and then when they posted on Reddit, it was deleted. And so the community was like, why is Catalyst okay with this and this community isn't? So it turned into this big kind of war. I had heard and gotten some screenshots that the moderators over there were kind of heavy-handed with some of the bans or the deletions or whatever. And so there was kind of an outcry for a safe space. So I was like, all right, cool. I mean, if that's what the community wants. So we created a new subreddit called Official Battletech.
Okay.
And again, since I wasn't at the computer, I had one of the community members that moderates for other communities for Catalyst. Not Catalyst official, but like fan communities like Shadowrunners Union and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, listen, if you want to make it happen, go ahead and make it happen, and like find the moderators, do what you want to do, because I can't. So they created this separate subreddit, and there was like a mass activity of people joining that Reddit. So then I was contacted toward the end of the weekend by the original Reddit owner, who apparently isn't very active on that Reddit. And so claimed, whether true or untrue, claimed to not know what had been going on.
Yeah.
So by the time he had reached out to me, he had already terminated all of his moderators. And
okay.
he's like, I would hate to see the community fracture. What can we do? He's like, how do we bring this back together? So I said, like, well, maybe what we need is some Catalyst community guidelines. And like, if you're open to using those, and that way, like, we don't have this where it's like, well, Catalyst posted it, why can't we post it here, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Problem is we didn't have community guidelines yet.
Right.
So
that's a bit of a stumble,
yeah. Right. So we kind of used some cobbled together ones from that one moderator that came from other communities, and like what they've used. And so we kind of put that out and made some like, it's Reddit, it's not official, so 3D printing stuff can be a little more lax there.
Yeah.
Because it's not an official Catalyst server. And I told him too, I was like, I have no interest in running a Reddit. Like,
it sounds like it'd be quite a lot of work. Yeah.
Yeah. So the guy, the owner of the original Reddit, reached out to my moderators. I say my moderators, but the moderators from the official Battletech, and pulled them over to his server since he had terminated all the other moderators. This was the beginning of Rem is evil and doing a hostile takeover and fighting conservatives. So,
well, that's one of the interesting things is being in the UK. Obviously, there's a lot of what I see from the outside. There seems to be a lot of politicization coming into even a lot of hobbies. So, as you say, it becomes a kind of us or them scenario, and it kind of feels like that now, looking from the outside. So I guess that is it's kind of odd, but yeah, it's just become something of a battleground, as you say. One of the guideline things I noticed, is a line that seems to have gotten a few people's backs up, is part of the line being participation is a privilege, not a right. But I'm assuming that plays more into attending events and demos and that kind of thing, rather than participation in BattleTech, for instance. Sorry,
correct.
Go on.
The community guidelines are for Catalyst communities. So really the design behind it, what I can't put into formal Catalyst speak in these posts is literally, I don't personally like, so I'm a little scatterbrained this morning, but I own my own company as well. And like, my right hand in building this company is conservative. Like, I have no problem with whatever side of the political spectrum, American political spectrum, someone is on, as long as people can be respectful to each other.
Exactly. Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah.
So, and that's the design of the community guidelines. So if you are going to play or contribute in any of our official channels, so that's our new Discord server that's rolling out in a couple weeks, Facebook, the Discord server is the reason why now is when the community guidelines are happening.
Okay.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at a convention, at a table, like if you can't be respectful to the other people around you, you can't play in our spaces.
Okay.
I don't care what you think. I don't care what your opinions are. I don't care if you don't approve of my hair color or my sexuality or anything else. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't bother me unless you're going to be disrespectful to my face about it or to my community. Then you can't play. Like, that's it. Just don't be a dick. Like,
yeah,
that's literally
that's the boiled down version. Yeah, don't be an asshole. We won't be an asshole back. Let's keep it civil and enjoy,
exactly.
as people say, playing games. It's as I say, that's why I sent out the email, because it just, everything just seems to have blown up. I've seen comments of people saying that we'll still be here when Catalyst have gone, the IP will still be around, all these kind of very strong words, and it just, I was really confused as to just why it was such a strong reaction. And
I think that there are people that interpret the actions that have happened between the Reddit, between the timing of the demo team and the community standards, which are unfortunately close together, but really have nothing to do with each other. I think there's this looking beneath what is actually being said and saying, ooh, what are they trying to pull or anything like that? And the answer is nothing. We just want to have safe spaces for everyone to play together. And again, like, unless there's a threat of violence or a threat of, just a threat of violence basically is what I can think of right now.
That, any kind of harsh rhetoric or racism, that kind of thing, homophobia, that's perfectly understandable. No one should be in a position where they have to put up with that. Just the same.
It's just making sure that we make it clear that these are safe spaces and that is required for participation within our, if you want to go and play Battletech on your own and do whatever you want to do, you are welcome to. But if you want to Catalyst spaces, this is the bare minimum.
Right. Okay, that makes perfect sense. I suppose the only other thing then that I noticed was there was claims of like a mass blocking on something like Twitter about a bunch of other accounts. And were these accounts that have broken those guidelines in some way already? Or had they said anything to an individual that has caused this? Is that the reason? Obviously, I assume you can't go into a huge amount of detail, but...
Yeah, I can't go into too much detail. I do have moderators for our various social accounts. So I'm not in there doing it, looking at thousands of messages.
Yeah, you're not sorting through, going, like that one and that one.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say that, like, I am, again, I've been traveling, so I'm a little delayed on this, unfortunately, but I do want to go in and spot check and make sure, like, are people being fair? Are they being ban heavy? Are they, leaning one side more than the other? Because to be fair, like, if someone goes in and says, like, yeah, get all the bigots out of here and stuff like that, like, that's inflammatory too.
Yeah, it's baiting toward an argument that isn't necessary. Yeah. Right.
So it's one of those things where we may need to review and kind of step back and take a look and be like, all right, maybe we turn some of these into temporary bans and say, like, hey, this was in violation of this rule. We're going to let you back in space, but please be mindful of that in the future.
Yeah.
We may choose those depending on, because, like, honestly, negative feedback doesn't bother me and doesn't bother Catalyst. If someone's like, this rule is stupid, it doesn't hurt my feelings. Like, I'm not going to ban you. But if you're trying to make it into more of a political statement than it is, and targeting or verbally attacking or implying about other people, again, that's a breach of making it a safe and respectful place. All you need to do is be respectful to each other.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think that's all I really wanted to ask about that, with as far as the community thing and the outbreak. I guess the other thing I was just wanted to run, is everything okay on my channel end of stuff, because one of the things I've probably made the most content of is the lore series. It's me just generally reading a lot of the copy from the book, but I know with the update to community guidelines and a lot of stuff, I don't want to tread on toes of Catalyst, obviously, as a fan.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I haven't watched any of it honestly yet.
And I'm not asking for views.
But I will tell you, so a couple things here. Get you a little peek behind the curtain too. So in terms of content like reading from the books or using screenshots and stuff like that, like we don't mind. Okay. In all honesty, the reason we are as hard as we are about 3D prints and that kind of thing is that we would love, I'm trying to bide what to say because I don't want to piss tops off in fanatics. We don't care. It's them that have said, like, we are not interested in 3D printing. We are not interested in STLs. And if you do anything to support this, we'll pull the license. So we are shepherds of the license. And that's why we have to be like, no, like you can't post this in our communities. You can't, well, like, again, if you do like a private print or something like that, we're not against that. But if you're like, oh, you can buy this from my shop, you can't.
No, that's unsort of. It's the same with a lot of any company that relies on a big part in miniatures. It's money out of the pocket of the company. Yeah,
we're pretty chill about it. Even like those that do it, we don't go investigating it. If someone tells us, we have to. But it's not something that we're out, hunting for or anything like that.
I guess I don't want to keep you too much longer then. I think that's everything. As you said, you're busy and your morning's just getting started. You're getting off the afternoon now, aren't you? So, I don't think there's much else. Thank you very much. I've never done an interview or anything like this before, so I'm sorry if I'm a bit all over the place.
No, it's all good. I will say, too, one thing I forgot to mention is that we are going to be releasing an appeals process as well. So if someone does feel that they got unfairly banned, or even if they're like, okay, it was fair, but I'm sorry, like... Yeah,
that makes sense.
Come on back in. Like, so there will be a process for that released as well. So anyone that does feel slighted or anything those come directly to me. So I'll be able to investigate those. And
there you have it from Rem and by extension by Catalyst, what they view as the current situation. As you can hear, there's some admittance that yes, they are looking at being able to remove any bans or, well, not bans, but blocks that were put on places like Twitter for some people. If it was felt that it was a bit too heavy-handed with a ban being thrown out by a moderator. There was also the clarification with what exactly was going on with the Reddit, and we also got some other little bits and pieces on there, especially regarding some areas like with custom minis being made, that kind of thing. So hopefully that clears some stuff up. I won't be surprised if someone wants to come into this and say that I'm shilling for Catalyst or whatever. I'd rather... It's whatever people think, honestly. I just wanted to get their opinion. I've not really had the opportunity to speak to somebody in a company like this before and just be able to have that kind of conversation. I largely personally agree with the viewpoint of don't be a dick. Regardless of what side, in the States again, because there's a lot of political tension at the moment. I can understand that. Tensions are running high for a lot of people. But, it's a hobby at the end of the day. You're playing a game, and if you're one side or the other, liberal or conservative, it doesn't matter. Just have fun is the main thing. Don't be an asshole to each other. I mean, if someone who's a liberal says that you should be censored and not have the ability to speak your mind, they're well in the wrong. And I completely agree with that. And that person should be told to shut the fuck up. The same as on the other side of it. If someone who's very, very conservative tells another person that they don't have certain rights because of X, Y, Z reason, they can shut the fuck up as well. Basically, keep it civil. It's essentially what it boils down to. Now, there might be some people who are going to come in here in the comments, and feel free to elaborate, explain, point out if there are any issues here. I may have missed something big. You may have some dynamite piece of evidence to say, aha, but they lied because they said this. Feel free to post that. Let me know. Have that conversation. All I ask for in the comments, just keep it simple. And also, don't let's not turn it into anything about harassing a specific person. Rem was very kind in taking time out of her workday to be able to speak to me about this. I don't want a scenario where people are just going to start attacking somebody because they did me the favour. So, yeah, I mean, anyone who posts anything that's just inflammatory, it'll get removed. But if you've got a reasoned argument to disagree with her, by all means, please post it there. And if I get the chance in the future, I may be able to put some things forward. If there's an opportunity for me to speak to her again in the near future, I might be able to take some questions and maybe put them to her and she can answer them, for instance. So there's a possibility of that. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but it could happen. But until then, hopefully that clears up a few things. I thought it was very interesting, and Castle's very awesome for letting a scrub like me be able to get in contact with them. So I'm sure they're very busy with a lot of the stuff they're currently doing. Have a good week, everybody. Anyway, the final Law Warrior episode now will be out pretty soon. Yeah, for Luthien. For posterity, it's not going to make any sense, this bit. But for anyone who is watching as when I post this, it won't be on the Wednesday. It'll be on the Thursday. So, look forward to that. Otherwise, have a good day, everyone. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you all next time. Bye-bye.